Welcome back to Zwartkops, the arena of motorsport and the 18th running of the Passion for Speed Festival. It's great to see big initiatives from big companies like DAF getting involved on the outside of the racing action that happens on track here at Passion for Speed. It's now time for the Charlie's SuperSpar Pursuit Series. What happens here, Rob, is basically you've got a handicap race where the slowest car starts off first and the quickest one is the scratch car, which leaves last. If everything is done according to plan and they've got the timing right, every single one of these 25 cars should cross the line at exactly the same time. That's the theory. Whether or not that's going to happen now as the first cars get away, and Robin Clark is that first car in his Citroen, the GS makes its way around. This is a car that Cyril van der Merwe actually won a production car championship in as he heads out of turn 2. Michelle Smith will follow him very, very closely in an awesome little Nissan Skyline. She's still got the rookie tape on the back of that car, being a new driver only coming into the series 2 races ago. 371 coming through there is Rikus Buerta, sharing with William Kelly. The two of them will be swapping out for the 2 heats of racing here today. And as the rest of the pack start to get going, you'll see that Robin Clark has got nearly a lap and a half over the scratch car of Kobus Brits, the 911 Porsche.
You can see their car 230, that's Robbie Frank a little bit further down there, 1963 Lotus 23B. So great cars all the way through. And to keep the spirit of this class, it's great to see that a lot of these drivers actually drove their cars to the circuit, race them, and then drive home, stop home at Charlie's SuperSpar on the way home, buy the missus some nice bread, milk, and maybe some chocolates just to get their permission to go racing next time again.
Exactly. That's exactly what they do. You can drive these cars all the way through. Now, speaking of coming through, all of a sudden we've got Crosland coming through there in the Alfa and starting to lap the first car off the line. Robin Clark has been caught by a couple of cars now. The only problem that they've got, though, in this series, and what you'll find, Rob, with the 2 heats of racing we're about to see, is that you have to make passes as soon as you see the car in front of you to be able to catch up the lap and a half that you're down when you start out that start gate.
And you also have to be very careful of the lap times. If you go too fast, you could possibly break out. So the timekeepers are going to be very wary of that as car 225 coming a little bit further back there. That is Dave Leyshon in his Scirocco. So we can get a good shot now onto the back straight. We've got 2 of our contenders here. We've got Kobus Brits right in the mix there with Carlos Camero as well. They come into turn number 4. Again, they've got to just watch those lap times because they're starting to creep to that kind of barrier where you could potentially break out.
The 2 Porsches at the back, of course, are the 2 scratch cars. Kobus Brits was the fastest. Just ahead of him at this stage is the hard-charging Wernher Hartzenberg. That's the 928 Porsche. But they've got to try and find a way still on this little 325 IS shadow line of Carlos Camero. He's closing in on that Lotus 23 of Robbie Frank. And this is where things get interesting because all the quicker cars now are getting into the mix and they're catching Robin Clark for the first time. So Clark now could be in trouble. They've caught him once. They've got to try and catch him another time. So there's only about 3 laps to do that in. If they time it to perfection, as I said, the theory is that every single car should cross the line at the same time. Now we'll wait and see how those breakout times are going to affect these cars and also how this racing in the mixes. You know what it's like, Rob, when you with the red mist in front of you. You see a quicker car, you try and overtake, and all of a sudden your lap time goes up by half a second. If it's half a second quicker than your allocated breakout time, you could be found and be disqualified.
Yeah, it's so easy to do in racing conditions like that. Classic cars there out front. Great to see that livery on the Winfield car there with a BP as well. A little bit further back, that is Stacey starting to come through the field there in his 1984 Alfa GTV. So good little drives all the way through the field. But like you said, yes, it's just really is a cat and mouse game with those lap times. You just want to go out there and pin it and go as fast as you can, but you've got to be so wary of those times.
A very famous car there, of course, Pretoria Brick being the big sponsors of the Alfa team in their day. Leyshon now unlapping himself, coming up on the 2 lady driver there. Tegan Leyshon has gone through as well, so dad and daughter doing a super job. Michelle Smith now into 2nd place on the road. So it looks like there's a bit of a battle there between the Skyline, that Ford Escort. Oh, and some big smoke out of an Alfa. That you don't want. The Alfa pulls to the sideline, hopefully no oil down into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see if there is any, but he pulled off the circuit very quickly. Crosland in the GT Junior, and yes, change of surface flag has been called for.
Yeah, that's going to maybe just throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. Tegan, she comes out lapping very comfortably and consistently, so she's done a really good job. Does look like she's maybe going to come out of that final turn. Will the checkered flag be out in that car H28 1981 Ford Escort? Yes, it is. There's Henny the flag. He does bring out the checkered flag, so she does cross the line as the first driver across. We're going to wait and see just behind them Kobus Brits. There he is in the BP car. Beautiful BP Porsche there. Classic, iconic colors there. And Carlos Camero should not be too far behind.
325 IS shadow line coming through there into 3rd place, followed by Johan Swanepoel. But we'll have to wait and see with these final results whether or not there's going to be some breakouts. So far, Leyshon taking it from Brits. Camero in 3rd place. Johan Swanepoel beating out Robin Clark, the car that set everything alight this afternoon. And Wernher Hartzenberg in the 928 comes through for 6th. as they come down into pit lane. This is where they start the second heat, and that's how they're going to be lining up. You see right at the back, Cobus Brits is the final car, the scratch car off the line. Going to be basically the car to try and catch Robin Clark, who'll be setting the field. And there we go, out into turn 1 he goes, and towards turn 2, the Citroen GS, and looking for a double victory here today. Because with that change up and the reshuffle of the times, a couple of cars were caught out, and it was Robin Clark who eventually ended up taking the victory. Now, looking for a second one as Michelle Smith goes on the hunt, along with Tegan Leyshon, the two ladies making their way down towards turn 2.
I'm pretty sure the calculators were out after that heat number 1. All these drivers doing their calculations to just check those lap times. Like you said, a couple of the drivers breaking out in that heat number 1. They don't want to do the same here now in heat number 2. So watch that a little bit further down. Robin Clark, just interesting to note that how did Sorrel van der Merwe win a production car class in that car? That is incredible stuff.
He's the only guy who probably could have. He made that car go really quick. Hartzenberg is out the gates as well. Look out for Cobus Brits just behind him. That means the entire field is back on track and now ready to go. See if they can try and close down on that lap and a half lead that Robin Clark has got. Dave Leyshon would love to get that little Scirocco of his a little bit higher up than what he did in the first heat. You can see already some pressure being applied there. The Lotus 23 diving on the inside of Wernher and a touch. Oh, that's not going to be good. Robbie Frank getting sent onto the inside of Volkswagen corner. And it was all about the touch between Wernher du Plessis in that 944 turbo, just getting the inside line and probably not seeing the Lotus 23. That's one of the reasons that you've got the mix-up, and it's also one of the dangers you've got when you've got a mix-up of cars like this. The lower cars are very difficult to see on your wing mirrors.
Oh, here we go. So still out front on track at the moment, but he's about to be passed by some of those faster cars. Is Robin Clark in car 66. But here comes Stan Stacey. You can see a lot more planted is that car behind him. Not as much suspension travel in that car number 6 as our leading car driver out there, so a lot less work to do for him. He'll just breeze past there, and while they change up on track, again, you just got to watch out for those times, because not necessarily where you are out on track is where you're going to finish.
And that's exactly what these guys are trying to do. That's the first lap being taken back by Stan Stacey. So good effort from him. Here comes Cobus Brits. He's got to be very careful. He was one of the cars that was caught out, breaking out in the first heat, so he'll just be watching his lap times. They're not allowed to carry any lap time monitors in their cars, Rob. So it's on the look and the feel of what you do as a driver to potentially go quicker. And of course, that's what Wernher Hartzenberg is potentially in trouble with right now as he closes on the back end of Wernher du Plessis. There's a move on the inside. Johan Swanepoel getting through in the Alfa. Well, it's an Alfa battle there. The GTV just losing out to Swanepoel, and they continue to fight as they come out of Mix FM.
You can see that move from Johan Swanepoel. He's able just to commit a little bit more in the not-so-fast car there compared to Stan Stacey, who's just had to hold back a little bit. You can see just being very wary of trying to not break out. So he's made that move now, Johan Swanepoel, and he's really giving it all that he can at the moment. Flat-out stuff there from Johan, using a little bit too much of the track coming out of turn 1, but he looks like the man on the mission, setting the lap times, getting the traction he wants out of that car. How he's doing that, I don't know, because no power steering or anything in these vehicles.
Well, they've caught Robin Clark once. They're still going to catch him a second time. They're about to catch Tegan Leyshon in that 1600 Sport. Now, those little escorts around the world picking up huge, huge money if you get a collector and you find one in good nick. Here's a Porsche battle of note. Wernher du Plessis fighting hard in the 944 Turbo. The big V8 928 behind him. Leyshon fighting hard there with Cobus Brits. Scirocco versus Porsche. I think it's very similar engines on those two cars because they came out of the same kind of time period and factory. But it's Robin Clark who's done it all right this time. He's got it down to perfection here. I don't think they're going to catch him. He might be able to hang on and possibly take the second win on the line and on the timesheets.
Yeah, Cobus Brits is starting to make his way through now, and he's bringing the likes of Stan Stacey along with him. Car 225 there as well coming through. That's Dave Leyshon. He's also starting to make some inroads into the front end of this field, but I don't think he's going to have enough time and pace to get that man. It's incredible that the slowest car out on track at the moment could potentially take the checkered flag.
And how far back is the next car? There you go. So it wasn't too far off in terms of the perfection of that theory that every car should cross the line at the same time, but Robin Clark is going to be happy with his timing. He's timed it to perfection, taking the second victory on the line. Behind him it's Swanepoel and Wernher Hartzenberg eventually getting through for third place in the 928. But look how far back that little 911 was, right on the tail of that big V8. Super effort there from our Charlie SuperSpar Historic Pursuit Series. Official results going to Robin Clark, beating out Johan Swanepoel. Wernher Hartzenberg came through for third. It was Brits, Leyshon and Stan Stacey in the GTV in sixth place. Robin Clark had a fantastic day with 2 victories. Let's find out how it went.
Well, it was our second race. I lead out as a scratch car in a handicap race, so all the other guys have to catch me. Hopefully I didn't break out, but, you know, the car performed really well. It's a 1979 Citroen GS Club. which is a replica of a car that Sarah van der Merwe actually won a national championship with in Group 1 in 1977. So he's here today, so I hope I did him proud.
Certainly did. It's time for a little break though. Join us after it for some more action from the Passion for Speed Festival.